Suspiria, directed by Luca Guadagnino, starring Dakota Johnson, Tilda Swinton, and Mia Goth. A darkness swirls at the center of a world-renowned dance company, one that will engulf the troupe's artistic director, an ambitious young dancer, and a grieving psychotherapist. I am a huge fan of the original Suspiria by Dario Argento. It is an incredible film with beautiful visuals and music and this really cool surrealistic tone throughout the film. So prior to the release of the 2018 reimagining of this film, I was cautiously optimistic. Well, I can say with all certainty that this film is incredible. I love it just as much as the original. It's different enough from the original to really separate itself, and it adds something new to the lore of the film. Now, before I go any further, I'd like to talk about some of the themes throughout this film, because one of the things that really sets the 2018 Suspiria apart from the original Suspiria are those deep ingrained themes of motherhood and guilt. So the first theme I'd like to talk about is motherhood. Between Susie's early life with her own mother up to the point where she meets Madame Blanc, they began to have this type of mother-daughter relationship, but there's also a little bit more underneath the surface. A lot of this film tackles not only the motherhood angle, it also delves into an entire community made up of women, as well as manipulation and the abuse of power. The theme of motherhood continues into the finale, which is absolutely mind-blowing, and I don't want to go any further into it because we are getting into spoiler territory. The best example about guilt, especially national guilt, goes to the story of Klemperer, who is a Holocaust survivor. His guilt, sadness around the loss of his wife. Bear in mind, this film takes place in 1977. The Berlin Wall is still up. It's actually right outside of the Tanz Academy. These three major pieces between motherhood, guilt, and the abuse of power, along with national guilt, create a film that is incredibly layered. Now I'd like to get to the meat and potatoes of this video, which is the review itself. The first aspect I'd like to touch upon is sound design and music. The soundtrack is by Tom York, who is the lead singer of Radiohead. I'm a huge fan of Radiohead ever since the Bends. The music really sets the tone for the entire film. It has this very melancholy type of tone throughout it, and that soundtrack lends well into the sound design itself. There is an emphasis on breath and sighing. That is because Mother Superiorum is the mother of sighs. So you'll hear these sighs, deep breath, and it sets up this type of omnipresent being throughout the film. When we start to transition into scenes where there is choreographed dance, the music definitely shifts. It has this very hypnotic sound to it, which makes sense within the context of the film because we are in this dance studio, which is a cover for this coven of witches. The dance choreography paired with the music and the sound design creates a hypnotic feel to the scene. Speaking of choreography, I absolutely love it. I can't take my eyes off the screen. I also want to highlight that this film is pretty disturbing, and there are some deaths that are absolutely brutal and disgusting. There's one scene where Susie's character is dancing in one room, and there's a woman, a fellow dancer, in a separate room who is basically being turned into a human pretzel. It's really stomach churning and it's hard to watch. You feel every single break and bend. When it ends, it just lingers. It really makes you feel uncomfortable. Every kill, every death in this film makes you feel really uncomfortable. It's not something that's fun to see. And it's not really a film that you should go into expecting buckets of blood and gore. It will deliver on that, but the runtime is about 2.5 hours long, and the film relies more on character development and storyline. speaking of storyline and character development, I absolutely love it. They've really expanded upon the story from the original film, which was very basic, and made something that is super layered, and it really gives the actor something to really sink their teeth into. Dakota Johnson and specifically Tilda Swinton are amazing in this film. Every one of the actors are amazing in this film. There is not one bad performance, but the two of them specifically really shine in this film. Tilda Swinton plays 3 different roles. I don't want to spoil it for anyone what other 2 roles she plays. When you find out later, it's really astounding. And the last piece I'd like to talk about is cinematography and editing. The cinematography follows a 70s style of filmmaking. It feels like a film that could have come out in the 70s, and the color tones are vastly different than the original film. The Dario Argento film was incredibly colorful, but with this film, it has a more muted tone, but it also lends into that melancholy tone I was referring to earlier in reference to the music. The editing, especially for the dance sequences, give this type of chaotic type of feeling, and it adds to that hypnotic feel in combination with the music. With all that said, I love Suspiria. I love the remake and I love the original. They're both equally fantastic films, and also 2 incredibly different films. This, for me, is an instant classic. If you have not seen Suspiria, do yourself a favor and check out this film. It is more of an art house type of film. It runs at about 2.5 hours long, so it may not be for everyone, and when it comes out on Blu-ray, I'll be adding this for sure into my collection. If you enjoyed this review, be sure to hit that like button. And if you want to see more content like this, be sure to hit that subscribe button. Thank you so much for coming by, and I'll see you all next time.